Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. It's so good to have you here. If you are new here, my name is Rita Siao. I am an educator, a public speaker, and the founder of a non-profit organization that works so hard to empower young women and girls. In today's video, I'll be talking about something very important. If you don't have these things, don't get married. So let's delve into it. Isn't it amazing that we go to school for decades to get a certificate and start working a job which we would eventually have to retire? Yet marriage, which is a lifelong thing, a decision that you make it and it's once and for all. We don't go through any form of training. Aside watching our parents going through marriage in their homes, growing up observing people, and sometimes we don't even take the time to read books on marriage from other people's experience. Isn't it amazing? The moment you say I do, it means you have committed to the other person lifelong, forever, until death do you two apart. We see a lot of issues of divorce here and there, and we wonder why. Before we got married, we had to go through several hours of counseling. I know some people also went through that, but what happens? Why do people still get into the marriage and then divorce? These are questions that we would leave for another day's discussion, but I want us to look at things that if you do not have, you should not get married. The first thing you need to have before you step into marriage is self-love. If you do not love yourself enough, if you feel unhappy with yourself, sometimes we have attitudes and behaviors and things that we put up and we ourselves are unhappy with ourselves. If you would be very honest with yourself, you would know whether you love yourself enough just as you are. Sometimes if you realize that you have some attitudes that needs to be corrected, you need to work on that. You also need to clear your mind of every past pain, past experiences, past things that happen to you that you are not happy about. Do your very best to heal from all these things so that you don't carry these things along with you into the marriage as baggages. Love yourself enough to know what you deserve and look for it in that person when he comes around. Okay? When you know your worth, you know how priceless you are. You know how special you are. You know the value that you are bringing on the table. When the person comes along, you have to look out for the fact that he appreciates and sees these values in you, okay, and wants them and desires them and wants to keep these values. If he is looking for something else, then you know that he is not the one. Okay, so you don't end up falling in love with a person, marrying him, and realizing that you have made the wrong choice. No way. Number two thing you need is emotional intelligence. Are you intelligent emotionally? Are you able to handle very difficult situations? Are you mature enough to even see the situation and put it in a way that can be consumed by the other person? Are you having that maturity in communicating very dicey issues in a way that does not undermine the other person's integrity, the other person's, being, and rather encourages the person and makes the person want to change if there is anything of that sort that needs to be done? Soon as you get married, you are going to be faced with different issues, okay? Emotionally, you are going to be going through tough times. It's more like a roller coaster. There'll be high times and there'll be very low moments in that marriage. How ready are you? What maturity do you have to handle these difficult times? Let me tell you one thing. People go into marriage and within a short time they begin to feel tired, they begin to feel worn out, wanting to try something new. Okay? All these things has to do with emotions. How are you going to manage these emotions in that difficult time? If you do not have emotional maturity and intelligence, grow that before you think about getting married. The next thing you need to have before you get married is building and nurturing relationships. Marriage is a relationship between two people who are coming from different backgrounds, different upbringing and different homes. You have now become one, and you need to build each other up. Communicating, growing each other, supporting each other, and doing so many things. Relationships begin to dwindle as soon as communication begins to go down. Relationships begin to dwindle as soon as you two begin to grow apart and refuse to should I say, resuscitate the relationship, doing things that makes both of you happy, taking adventure and trying new things, being ready to embrace the moment, giving each other space to just calm down in difficult times or times when you're having challenges and misunderstanding. It is not always that you two are having an issue and you have to stand there and just fight and argue and talk about it. Sometimes you just have to walk away and just give each other space to settle down, calm down before you come back together again. Are you ready to be able to nurture a relationship? Are you ready to feed the relationship what it needs to grow? Do you have the ingredients that a relationship needs to grow? If you do not have these things, please take your time. You're not ready to get married yet. Finally, you have to understand and know what your faith teaches about marriage. When it comes to Christians, we go through different kinds of upbringing. Church, we learn a lot of things about marriage and relationship, but when it comes to practical, that is different from all that you study and listen to. Okay, so what does the Word of God says about marriage? What does it say about being a wife? What does it say about being a husband? What does it say about leaving your parents and cleaving to each other? What does it teach? What can you learn? What can you pick from there to build your relationship up? Whichever religion you belong to, that is not a problem. But what does your faith require of you as a married person or as someone who is walking out there to cleave onto somebody else as a wife or a husband? What does your faith teaches you? You need to have these things at your fingertips. You need to know when to go on your knees and pray. You need to know when to seek wisdom, not just about physical things, but wisdom beyond what is physical. Sometimes what we go through in marriage goes beyond physical, and you need that maturity and you need the knowledge of your faith to be able to handle all these things. I want to say that personally, I did not have all these things before I got married. Now that I'm in the marriage, I'm also acquiring and learning day by day. Everything that happens every day is a learning process. So marriage is more like a field of study. Okay, it is not just a decision of two people coming together and saying we are being together, but what happens within the being together, that time period when you are together, because you are not taught what exactly to expect in marriage, but you go into the marriage before the true attitude, the true character, true being of both of you begins to pop up. So when these things come out, it means that every day in and day out, you need to be studying. And the studying you are doing at this point means correcting things that you have done wrong, finding other ways to do things that you have done which wasn't appropriate. That is marriage. So marriage is not the rosy thing we see in movies where every day is like a beautiful day. Accepting the other person for who he or she is, tolerating things that the other person does which sometimes irritates you, but communicating it in a way that the other person understands and realizes what he is doing. And then every day in and out, you study, making mistakes and correcting those mistakes and then moving on. But when you find yourself stuck, where you cannot talk, you cannot communicate, you can say how you feel, then I'm wondering if you are really married. So if you do not have these things that I've outlined, you are not ready to get married yet. Don't try, don't venture into it. Be patient, learn and acquire these skills, all right, before you step into marriage, so you don't step in and rush out. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have picked something from this. If you are new here, I welcome you to join this amazing family by subscribing to this channel and also giving this video a thumbs up and leaving an amazing comment down there. If you have a question, feel free to leave it. If you have an experience you want to share with us, please, we want to learn from you. Leave your comment there. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.